Hello, hello! Welcome to the stream. David Snowpick here from Snowpick Games. I'm running a little behind and being kind of flustered today. I didn't even have time to eat breakfast before I took my kids to school this morning because I was outside shoveling snow for like 40 minutes, and then I got them to school and I got home, but then I had to eat breakfast, so then I didn't get all the time to set up and get ready like I usually have. So anyway, I'm a little bit off kilter, but otherwise it's a good day. How are you guys doing? It has been a long week for me. I don't know about you guys. Hey, The Clean, welcome to the stream. Yeah, I was just checking out your feedback to my last week prototype, The Clean. Thanks so much for checking out and giving the feedback. I think your one idea about making the inventory always be present when your hand is near it is a great idea, because if you're shooting and you're looking over here and then you're trying to manipulate your inventory at the same time, that makes absolute total sense. So I'm probably going to actually do that. I know there's been a whole bunch of other stuff going on my Discord that I haven't had a chance to look at this morning because of the aforementioned flusteredness. But yeah, how are you guys doing? How's your projects going? Are you equally as flustered for similar or different reasons? I don't know if you guys are getting hit with snow. This is such a crazy winter. It's such a mild winter for the most part. And then all of a sudden now, for the last bunch of weeks, it's just been snowing like crazy in my part of the world. Winter decided to show up at the last moment. But yeah, how are you guys' projects doing? Playing anything cool? Anything exciting going on? I'm just trying to get Godot opened up here because I'm that far behind. I didn't even open Godot before the stream started. Oh man. There is snow in Poland. I didn't know you were in Poland, The Clean? Did we somehow, how did I miss that? Where in Poland are you? Are you near Poland? For some reason, I don't know why I didn't. In my mind, I had placed you somewhere else in the world. You're in Szczecin. I've never been to Szczecin, but yeah, cool. We occasionally have Polish moments on the stream, and I didn't know that you were a participant, a possible participant in the Polish moment. But yeah, such a I don't know what the global warming thing is about, because so yes, the weather is changing, but the weather is changing weird. We have these much more mild winters. We do occasionally still get the negative 20 degree days or a week where it's like that, but not like we used to. But then now it's just everything's all over the place. It's warm one week and then it's freezing the next week, and it just makes no sense. I don't get it. I'm not a weather scientist. Anyway, yeah. Otherwise, things going on by me. I tried to throw together a quick list before the stream, so I'd have some stuff to talk about while people are still sort of filtering in here. Have you guys been watching that Psych Odyssey? There's this YouTube documentary series. It's 32 parts. It's a bajillion hours long about the making of Psychonauts 2 and Psychonauts VR Rhombus of Ruin game, which I had never played the original Psychonauts. I hadn't played Psychonauts 2 until I just started playing it because I'm watching the documentary, and it's free on Game Pass, or not free. It's included in Game Pass, and it's amazing. It's a really cool documentary. It makes me miss working in an office with a team and doing all that kind of stuff, because it's been so long. I've been self-employed for 14 years or something like that. And man, I don't know. It's great. It's great. And just following the course of this game that was supposed to take so many years to make, and then took 2 or 2.5 times longer than they thought it would, and they basically scrapped everything they made in the beginning. And I don't know. It's good. It's good. You guys should check it out if you haven't checked it out. And yeah, the only other big thing on the horizon for me is GDC's coming up. Is anyone else going to GDC? That'd be really cool. I know it's like a very impractical conference in the sense that it's very expensive and it's in a very expensive city, San Francisco. But it'd be cool to meet up in person if anyone else is going. Well, I recommend it. It's very entertaining. It's a very entertaining viewing experience. I would recommend it up there with like any movie or anything. It's really well done. Like the documentary crew that made it is fabulous. Well, so this is the start of this project that I made. Some planets. I guess before we dig into this, I think it would be kind of cool to chat over where the previous project got left off, because I did a bunch of work after the last stream and then basically decided it was complete until the clean gave me this amazing idea, and then I'm going to probably add that and then it'll be complete. Well, I guess it's as complete as I get people to test it, right? If I get people to test it and I find weaknesses or cool ideas or whatever, I'll keep adding to it. But we're moving on to a new idea, so it might be cool to go back on it. Hey, Micah, welcome to the stream. Hey, Zero G Scott. That's actually a pretty cool username. Convention days are long gone. Sunny Knox, hello, happy Friday. Yeah, you know, I used to go to a lot of conventions. Like, I'd go to like 10 conventions in a year. Like, I was at them all the time. I considered it just like part of work, right? Like meeting people, networking, and putting myself out there, and you know, you would end up finding a lot of work that way. But since the pandemic, since 2019, I've been to one conference, and it was this little game dev one in Madison, which was super cool, and that was a couple of months ago. Let me check out the characters. Zero G Scott's got a sweet fro on an orc with some plate mail. The clean is rocking the captain's hat, some spiky stuff. I didn't even see my own character. That's how flustered I am today. I'm rocking essentially my hairstyle, you know, with the no hair in the middle, hair on the edges, but gray with a sweater. That's pretty cool. Micah's got like a scimitar going with the captain hat and some armor. Micah's ready to invade somewhere, I think. You said spaceship and I appeared. Thanks, Clean. The environment is just like, this is all I've done is just poking around at making this little environment, and it's very pieced together. The planets. And I know I said I was going to talk about the end of last week's project, but I'm going to take a diversion here to talk about the environment. The planets are actually generated via an add-on that I downloaded. It's all shaders to make the planets. The add-on is this Naya Mirror, whatever, 3D planet generator. And there's a couple of scenes in here of different like example planets. I just threw here. I guess probably have to zoom out here to see this ice planet. There's a lava planet. Planet with no atmosphere. Sand planet. I like this. That's cool. I should maybe have included that one. And then the Earth-like planet. And then includes a star, too. I originally, when I was building my scene, like built it kind of like a solar system. With the sun in the middle. But the lighting was so hard to get right with the sun in the middle. And the scale was all wrong. Because I'm like, I don't want to build this giant thing, and I want to be able to see, like, if you're on any planet, the next planet looks like a dot in the sky, right? Like, that's just the way it is. So anyway, but this is a cool add-on. It's actually made of a couple different layers. So the atmosphere is a separate sphere laid over the this mesh, and then it is made of a couple of different pieces. Let's get to. So there's these different sort of like color layers and a noise texture. It's pretty cool. I don't know that I will actually for real use this as we get further in the prototype, but it's very cool. I could probably find the link for that. I should share the link. I should promote the creator of this this add-on here. I don't know why I did this over here. I'm going to send that back to my other desktop. Nyamir, not Yimmer. I got it on itch. And it's cool, like being able to so easily find a Godot 4 add-on, actually, a little bit unexpected. Making the solar system always has the issue of scale. Yeah, I actually, so the scale one, I was already like prepped in my mind for. The idea that, floating point numbers get weird. I spend way too much time thinking about number formats from, the work that we did on, SG Physics 2D and rollback and all that stuff. What I hadn't previously thought about was the issue of lighting. Because, okay, so you have the sun in the center, and you have all these planets around, and you want the planets to be, okay, so first of all, you have to pretend that the scale is smaller, because when you're on a planet, you want to be able to actually see the next planets and have it look cool, right? Which would never work in real life. If you're close enough to see the other planet, like in detail, they would crash, right? I suppose you can be on a moon and seeing the planet you're like going around or something. That can still make a nice visual at real scales. But the fact that the sun is casting light in every direction, but you can't use a point light for that, right? Because point lights are slow. They're essentially calculating the angle between the light and every single pixel, and that actually doesn't even make sense because at the distances we're talking about, the light actually essentially becomes straight, right? So what you want is a directional light, but you want like each body in space to like have its own directional light relative to the sun or something like that, something along those lines. I don't know. I gave up after a little while and just said, you know what? I'm putting 2 planets here and I'm going to light them from a fixed direction. I don't know where the star is. I don't know where it is. But yeah. Yeah, if I'm seeing Mars from Earth, I'm terrified. We're watching videos of last year with names, how issues this is floating point numbers in space exploration game. Yeah, I actually started watching. There's a cool video from like the Unity conference of the Kerbal Space Program lead programmer talking about how they solved the floating point issue. Which the way they did it was something that had also occurred to me, but I haven't actually tried it. Maybe I will later in the game. But they don't move the objects. They move the universe around you. Which makes a lot of sense because you lose precision the bigger the numbers get. And actually, there was a great. Did you guys see this blog post by Clay on the Godot blog? Clay John did this blog post a while ago, especially with all these releases. I'll find it. Don't worry. This will be the best stream of someone Googling something ever. Here it is. So like you don't even have to deal with big scale. It's like this is, this dude's running back and forth between a relatively short distance. If we imagine each of these lines is a meter, he's like running, I don't know, is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 meters back and forth. If you just slide that whole scene out to, what is this position? That looks like 10 million meters, so 10,000 kilometers. If you just slide it 10,000 kilometers away, he's still running back and forth, the same 6 meters or whatever. But once the numbers get that big, they lose enough precision that everything gets choppy like this. Hopefully that's like clear in the stream that it's choppy. But yeah, if you keep everything at 0, 0 and then just move the world to you rather than moving you, and that actually might make sense in the context of VR, especially because VR deals with such tiny distances. You're picking things up in front of you and moving them a couple of centimeters. So it probably does actually make sense that when we're on our spaceship, this platform is meant to represent the spaceship that we're going to be driving. It's a prototype. Don't worry about it. We probably do want to have the rest of the world coming at us so that we have this really high precision for these tiny movements we're going to be doing in VR. So, yeah, that is one possible way of doing it. Morning, Logan. Welcome to the stream. For you, it has got to be afternoon at least. What is now +7? So that would be 3 o'clock, 3 p.m., something by you. Hey, Heraclito, welcome to the stream. I missed you join in. You got another Froid individual. We have a couple of Frowares here. Logan's got like a wizard staff. Getting all magical. Anyway, just past 4 p.m. I was off by an hour. So, like I had said before, I would like to sort of close the loop on the prototype that we were working on last week. So I'm just going to kind of show you guys where that ended up, and then we'll dive into this game idea, and I'll explain the big game idea, and then the little piece of it that we're going to prototype. So we know what we're doing here. But first, let's go back to the one from last week, the inventory prototype. And I'll get the headset going. All right, give me a moment just to take my microphone off, put the headset on, all that junk. All right. We'll get loaded in there. Get this shared with you guys. Where am I? I'm in a weird spot. Whoa, my arm's like 9 feet long. Okay. I think we can deploy from Godot to the headset now. Yes, we can. And then in a moment, I will share what I'm seeing in VR so you guys can see it too. And cast to my computer. All right, and we'll get this. Okay. So, if you guys remember, the big game idea here is you're a robot, you're blowing up other robots, you're collecting their pieces and attaching them to your hands and then using those. That's kind of, wow, there's some serious jitter going on. I wonder if that's a tracking issue or what it is. Hopefully that's not too distracting. It's very annoying for me. But the way we are prototyping it is we have these different sort of gun things. You attach them to these, kind of stand-in prototype little attachy things, and then you can shoot. There's the this is supposed to be like the automatic weapon kind of gun. We've got a couple of different types. This one's supposed to be like the shotgun. Oop, but I'm out of energy here. Get some more power cells. And what we were prototyping this time was this idea of having this inventory on the inside of your wrist. So you can grab a bunch of power cells, throw them in here. We even grab another weapon. Although there's not that much reason to do that at this point because the weapons don't ever run out or anything. And there isn't that many of them, so there isn't kind of any inventory pressure for you to have lots of them. But let me at least get a couple of weapons here. Some fresh power cells. And then we can hit this button, bring in a couple of stand-in enemies. They can't actually hurt you, so you sort of have to pretend that you're in a battle a little bit. And I'm shooting. Oh no, I ran out of power. Oop, we crashed. I didn't even get a chance to show you what this whole prototype is about. It's the point is trying to see if you can quickly, look at your inventory, weapon switch when necessary. But it crashed. Man. As a prototype, I haven't spent a lot of time to try and figure out, is it crashing because I did something dumb in my game, or is it crashing because of a Godot bug, or what is it? So unfortunately, I don't know, and up to that point, while it's still a prototype, if I do ever actually build this game with the robots and the everything, then yeah, of course I'll try to figure out all the bugs. But yeah, I was trying to establish if this feeling of grabbing things out of the inside of your wrist and throwing them on the top of your hands. Ooh, the jitter's gone though. That's nice. Everything's super smooth now. Grab a couple here. Get a bunch of ammo. Oh yeah, go this way. Let's shoot some stuff. All right, guys. Going down. Get him a couple of shotgun blasts. Takes him out in one hit. Oop, but then I'm out, and I'm throwing this away, grabbing this, quickly throwing it on. And I think it works okay. You know, it's speedy enough. Again, like it's a sort of artificial situation. There isn't a lot of pressure because the enemies can't actually hurt you. It's hard with prototyping because you never know if you've created enough of the game to really get an idea of whether it's working enough. But I feel like it's successful enough. I just need to get maybe some more people to test it, make some more tweaks, like the cleans idea that we were talking about earlier in the stream. But yeah, I don't know. I think it works pretty good. It works pretty good. So that's where we got. That's where everything is after last stream. Hot dogs, yes, they're deadly hot dogs. Hot dogs that can shoot. So that's my February prototype. And yeah, like I was saying, I feel like that's tested enough that if I wanted to go ahead and try to make that robot game, I feel like it's a go. I feel like it's a yes, a move forward. So, returning to what we're actually going to work on this week, which is this space prototype. I really liked the game Bridge Crew. I don't know if you guys ever played Bridge Crew. It's like 4-player. You're on a Star Trek bridge. You have a helm officer, a tactical officer, an engineering officer, and the captain. And you each control your little part of the ship. And you have to cooperate theoretically with the captain giving commands to kind of keep everyone coordinated. I've definitely played some rounds of Bridge Crew where like some random dude just decided to be in charge and he happened to be the helmsman or something. But it's fun to role play. It's fun to have this sort of zany, like Overcooked. I don't know if you've ever played Overcooked, kind of like attempt at cooperation that kind of almost works and is really silly when it doesn't, or feels really badass when it does. So yeah, I really liked that game. It was recently discontinued. The servers are shut down. You can't play it anymore, or at least I don't think you can. And maybe it's the deadline still coming up in the future. But I would love to make a like spiritual successor to that game. I think in a lot of ways that game was limited by its use of the Star Trek IP. From a gameplay perspective, it did a lot of things because it was Star Trek that I think would have been better if you were liberated from having to fit into that universe. Yeah. Social bridge simulator type. And like one of the things is you have the view screen in the front. You have a big giant television, and that's what you see outside of the spaceship with, which of course you have to do because it's Star Trek. But I would spend a lot of time in that game pressing the button that would let you be outside of the ship and just like look around and see what's happening, because that was so much more compelling and immersive. So we're going to use this platform for now to represent the ship, and we're just going to move this platform through space. It won't really be a platform in the end. It would be something spaceship looking like, but I would like for there to be windows all the way around. So you can look and see what the heck is happening, not on a giant television screen. Another thing that felt really limiting was the controls come from the show where they're beep booping over here, and they're like, number one, really hard to use in VR because you're like fiddling with flat things, and also just like not the best way to control a thing moving in 3D space. So the thing that I actually want to prototype today relates directly to this. I think you could drive a spaceship in 3D using 3D controls. So I'm going to imagine a universe where we have AR technology, right? So rather than having a desk that you're beep booping, flipping switches on or whatever, you're going to have like controls that float in the air in 3D space because you're using like this AR headset in universe, right? Of course, you're using a VR headset in real life, manipulating these controls that aren't really there. Because I think it would be so much more natural to steer a spaceship when you're turning in any of the three axes by actually rotating a ball, like having a beach ball in front of you that you rotate to turn the ship. And I'm picturing that what you would actually see as the helmsman on this ship is the ball would contain like a holographic version of everything that's around you. So at the center of the ball, you'd see a little version of your ship. And then around you, you'd see little holographic versions of your enemies. Because I'm imagining combat being the focus here, just because it's easy. Of course, in Star Trek, you also have exploration and diplomacy and all that stuff. But let's just blow each other up for a while. So you would like rotate the ball, which would like rotate everything around you as well. So you would continue to get this kind of perspective and use that to steer. I don't know the right way to do throttle, like to control your engines. I thought it'd be kind of cool if you were like expanding and contracting the ball, just because that's a cool motion to make. But the metaphor isn't right. Like expanding the ball lets you see more or zoom in. Like that seems wrong. So we'll have to come up with some way to do the throttle that I haven't totally figured out. That could maybe be another object that you grab and pull up or down, or grab and pull forward and back. But it definitely something that should be, and now that I'm thinking about this too, do your engines only go forward, or do you have thrusters that allow you to move like laterally? Like maybe that also would make for a good 3D control. So rather than just saying my thrusters are high or low, maybe you're controlling them directionally as well. So then you would have like one ball that you rotate and another one that you kind of move in 3D space to fire your thrusters in different directions. I don't know. But there's a lot of things that we could do there that I think would be much more interesting in VR and much cooler, more futuristic. I think also for like the different whoever's going to be in charge of shooting, there's like a million better ways that we could do that than this sort of Star Trek way. We could again do like a holographic thing where you're in 3D space, like targeting within that 3D space, or it could be more visceral. It could be like you're controlling a turret and you're zooming around. I don't know. We could definitely make something, I think, that could be much more engaging than what we have in the Star Trek universe. Anyway, so that's the big idea, and the piece I want to prototype is steering with this ball, and then the throttle somehow. So that's what we're going to try and do. Sound good? Should we do it? I haven't done very much pre-work. Usually before the stream, I'll have like half built the thing. So we're starting basically from scratch today. As I was showing earlier, I threw together this little environment which has a panorama that I grabbed offline, and these planets that came from an asset pack, and this spaceship here, which is from like CG Trader or something. But we're just going to start with trying to put our VR selves on this platform and move through space. I think we'll maybe start with that. We'll put ourselves on the platform. We will sort of glide forward Then we'll add in the ball to try and control our rotation, and then we'll figure out how we're going to do the throttle. So I did, I think, throw, an XR origin on here. So we can actually go into it in VR. Oops, wrong button. But there just isn't much to do. There's, in fact, exactly nothing to do. Why? Oh, because I disconnected the... We can at least take a peek. We can take a peek in VR. Come on. Oh, I have to give permission. Come on. And then the little guy should appear, I think. Yes. Oh, come on. Wow, this is taking a long time to do a thing that I just kind of wanted to show. Oh, you know what it is? It's this bug with Gradle. Foreground. Did I type that right? It's hard typing through the nose hole. There's this bug in Godot 4 that every time it does a Gradle build, it somehow like suspends itself, and then I have to go to the terminal and unsuspend it. So where is the right window? Here it is. So for whatever reason, I don't know if you guys can see it, this shader like really wigs out in the GL renderer. It's doing all sorts of wacky stuff. Doesn't do it in Vulkan. We have our big Jupiter-like swirly planet with a platform. I mean, even though I threw this environment together in like a moment, it is already fairly engaging. So yeah, we'll put our actually, yeah, first things first. Let's move ourselves through space. Which, as we were discussing before, may actually involve moving space through us. But let's see what happens. I guess we'll start by making a script for our spaceship. Oh, which for some reason it wanted to open on this desktop. Let me throw it over here. There's an update. Thank you. I will update later. And to start with, let's just see what happens if we just slide ourselves forward. And I'm not putting any physics on this. In a finished game, of course, you would want to have some kind of physics to tell if the ship is crashing with asteroids or other ships or whatever. But let's just give this a try. So we'll want to do this on physics process. I guess I just said there was no physics, so why do it on physics process? Because it's a fixed interval. And we'll want to change our our transform origin. We're going to be adding our transform basis z, our negative z. So then what would be subtracting? I guess, okay, minus equals our transform basis z. So this is the vector pointing forward from the perspective of our ship. Times some speed times delta. Let's just make up a speed because I have no idea. So to give myself a sense of scale, each of the hang on, say close others, close other tabs, open up space. These boxes are 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. And they're supposed to be like asteroids or something. So if we move a meter per second, that seems pretty slow. It would take us 5 seconds to reach the first box. So let's give that a try. So our speed will be 1. 1 meter per second. Timesing by delta gets us to per second. And let's see what happens. Deploy failed. Another annoying Godot bug that is on my list to investigate one day. I'd say 30% of the time deploys to the quest fail, and I just have to press it again. It's super annoying. Oh, here we go. We are slowly moving forward. This is nice and slow. This is a good speed for testing. I like it. That thing's going by. All right. So one problem immediately is our XR origin is at the middle of this platform, but I'm clearly not at the middle. I don't want to have to add locomotion to this game. I don't want to have to add locomotion controls. So what we're going to need to do is come up with some way to recenter ourselves. And that is not something I have implemented before because I always have locomotion in my games. So we'll have to figure that out. I think there might be something in the XRServer Singleton that can help with this. Let's check that out. XRServer. Center on HMD. This is an important function to understand. Area VR platforms handle position slightly differently. For platforms that do not offer spatial tracking, our origin point is location over HMD. But you have little control over the direction. For platforms that do offer spatial tracking, our origin point depends very much on the system. For open center tracking on other platforms, this method allows you to center your tracker on the location of the HMD. Yes, I want that. It will take the current location of the HMD and use that to adjust all your tracking data, in essence, realigning the real world to your player's current position in the game world. For this method to produce usable results, tracking information must be available. This often takes a few frames after starting your game. You should call this method after a few seconds have passed. Seconds? We went from a few frames to a few seconds. Interesting. For example, when the user requests realignment of the display, holding a designated button on the controller for a short time, or when implementing a teleport mechanism. All right, I think we'll start with the few frames. A few seconds seems weird. We don't want to appear in the world and then a few seconds later jump to somewhere else. So I think what we'll do is we'll add a recenter on HMD function, and in onReady we will call deferred, which I guess technically is only waiting one frame. Let's see if one frame is enough. Cannot get return value. Oh, sorry. We don't want to call it. We want to call that on the object representing the function. Okay, so XRServer. Or wait, we don't want to run this at scene load. We want to run it when we know for sure that OpenXR is working. So that would be here. All right, so maybe we move this out of Spaceship. Well, how about I'll just comment out all the junk for now. Just take this over to here. Center on HMD. Seems like everyone is doing movement in physics process. I know it's an inherently wrong way to do it. For the movement to be smooth, it needs to be synced with the screen, not an arbitrary refresh rate. It will reintroduce jitter otherwise. So my strategy usually is to set the physics process to run at the same as the HMD's refresh rate, which I'm clearly not doing here because I haven't written that code. But that seems to work for me. I guess we can try it both ways and kind of see what happens. And then also Logan's point about if you do move physics objects outside of physics process, won't that cause problems with the physics not getting that information? So let's write the little bit of code here that does this. So how do we set the refresh rate? Is that display server, or is it rendering server? Or no. We don't set the display refresh rate. We get it from the XR interface. So XR interface get refresh something rate. Oh, what the heck is this method called? Let's go to XR interface. Or no, it's not on XR interface. It's on OpenXR interface, because this is done differently for each display refresh rate. And I don't want to use the, well, I can use the property. That's fine. I just really like using the method for this. But get display refresh rate. Let's do, we'll say if XR interface has method get display refresh rate, and then we would change the physics step, which I forget how to do that. Is that in the physics server, or is it a settings thing? I don't think it's in the physics server. I mean, maybe it is, but so there's a project setting, but I don't know if that's just read at startup. Physics ticks per second. Oh, here we go. Engine, physics ticks per second. And let's make sure this actually happens. Setting physics rate to so let's just see what that does. And of course, we can try doing it different ways and seeing what the result looks like. But this is my usual approach. Come on. Here we go. You guys seeing it? Okay. And we are not moving at all. Why is that? What did I do wrong here? I did something wrong. Here, we're not getting the information back from the debugger, but oh man, what did I do? What's going on? I'm betting that I just did some simple error, but I'm not getting the info back from the geez, wrong button. From the over the debug interface between the headset and the editor, because that's super unreliable in Godot 4 for whatever reason. We're gonna do adb log cat grep Godot. This should interface of setting physics rate to 72. So that worked. Sort of. Let's just try it one more time and see what happens. Interface not found. That's probably, were we checking for WebXR or something? Setting physics rate to 72. So that seems right so far. Why isn't anything moving now, though? Did I introduce a different unrelated bug in the Spaceship Script? Yes, I did. So actually, we'll get rid of this, at least for now. I might bring it back. All right. Now this should work. All right, we're moving slowly forward. No noticeable difference in this case. So now our physics rate should match our refresh rate. But yeah, in this one, no difference yet. Probably would need a more sophisticated example to really see jitter or no jitter. If you're changing the physics object properly, it will bug out, but we can test collisions in the process. So you can you can access collision information in process, because even though it's calculated during physics process, it should still be accessible, like the last physics frames data. Updating things, though, I think can have bad effects if you actually change physics state in process. At least that certainly was the case in Godot 3. I don't know if that maybe is different now. Well, here's what I'm going to do, the clean. I think I'm going to keep moving forward with my usual way. And if we encounter jitter, then I will try your way. Because it's hard to correct for something that isn't currently a problem. I have not ever encountered this jitter issue, but when I do, the words of the clean will float into my brain and be like, "You shouldn't do this way." But yeah, for now, I'm just going to kind of stick with the way that I usually do it. Of course, we're not actually doing anything with physics presently anyway. We're just imagining that we will be doing physics later. For this prototype, we may actually not do any physics except for like the hands colliding with the objects that we're interacting with. We won't do any physics in space. Okay, so we were trying to recenter on the HMD, which we're going to do with XRServer center on HMD, and I think we have to give it some parameters, but I don't know what they mean. Rotation mode, keep height. All right, let's go read up on what that means. Center on HMD. So rotation mode comes from rotation mode. Reset full rotation fully resets the rotation of the HMD regardless of what direction the user is looking in the real world. The user will look dead ahead in the virtual world. Okay, we actually, we don't want full rotation. We want to keep the tilt. So if you're looking down, we'll keep looking down, but the heading will be reset. That's what we want. Reset, but keep tilt. All right. XRServer, reset, but keep tilt. And then the other part was keep height, which I think we also want. We don't want to suddenly get taller or shorter. So let's keep height. All right. Let's give this a shot. And then this will allow us to place the controls in a predictable place so that we can actually reach them and use them. That didn't do anything. Nothing at all. All right, do we need to wait more frames? Are we getting any sort of error or message? Still a little confused at this interface not found. Where am I grabbing an interface that's not found? Let's just look for that for a second. Find interface, OpenXR. It says I'm not finding it, but I'm clearly finding it, right? Because this code later is running. That's weird. Well, let's do our own logic for this. And I guess that'll take us back to... Oh yeah, so we could try waiting some more frames. That's an option. That maybe it doesn't work because we haven't waited long enough. And we can do that really cheaply. In fact, yeah, let's do the wait a couple seconds thing, just because that will completely eliminate whether or not this is a timing issue or something else. Just go way overboard. We're going to wait 2 seconds, and then we're going to recenter on the HMD and see what happens. And if it doesn't work, we'll implement our own thing, which I think should be relatively easy. We'll basically take the HMD position and subtract it from, and set the XR origin to the XR origin's current position minus the HMD X and Z position. It would be good to reset the rotation also, because we want the player to start facing forward no matter which direction they're facing. But we can worry about that later. Or maybe not at all for its prototype. Yeah. Oh! It did reset me. I'm in the right spot. It just took a couple seconds. Okay. I'll catch you later, Logan. Ooh, you're working on your next video? I'm excited to see it. Okay, so we need to wait some frames. Let's... we will say... Let's do a countdown. So this would be like countdown to recenter HMD, which is going to be an integer. We are going to reset it when we start XR. So we'll say countdown to recenter HMD. We'll set it to, let's say, 3 frames. That's not very long. That's, you know, tens of milliseconds, less than 50. And then we will need to have a process which will say if countdown to recenter HMD is greater than 0, then we'll do countdown to recenter HMD minus 1, and then if it suddenly becomes 0, we will call recenter on HMD. Quick and dirty. Let's see if it works. Does this really do 3 frames though? I always get these off by 1 things. So we set it to 3. Then the next frame comes around. It subtracts 1, so it's 1 frame. We go to 2. Next frame comes around, subtract 1, becomes 3. Yeah, I think it actually does 3 frames. Okay. Well, resetting with the Oculus button does something different, at least in my experience. What we want is for the XR origin to move such that the XR camera is at the same world position that the XR origin was. The Oculus button does something a little bit different in my experience. I guess I could try it though. I'll try it. Okay, so first of all, let's check that the code that I wrote does something good. Just to keep on that thread, and then I'll comment out that code, and we will try just using the Oculus button and see what happens. Ooh, so that worked perfect. I didn't even notice the 3 frames, like there wasn't a flash or anything, and I am at the right position. That's awesome. Okay, so let's comment that code out, and we'll try with the Oculus button. So we're just going to remove this code. Oops. And then deploy. Oh, you guys aren't seeing. Let me get the right thing up here. Okay. Loading. All right, so now I'm way too far up. I would be forward past where the controls will be. Let me hold the Oculus button. Nothing. Yeah. So I think if I moved myself back, and I don't know if you guys can see my Guardian. Ooh, that's even doing nothing here too. Do I need to program something for the Oculus button? Do I need to respond to a signal? I would have expected it to reset my position when I moved myself physically from where I started in the game, but it didn't work. Let's take a peek at. Are there any signals on XRServer? Nothing useful. Let's go look at OpenXR interface. Pose recentered informs the user cue to recenter of the player position. I wonder if the Oculus button is implemented on a per app basis, and we need to listen to this signal. I guess I would just like to know the answer to that question. So let's try it. Let's say XR interface, pose something. What was the signal? Pose recentered. Pose recentered. Connect self on XR interface. Pose recentered. And let's do. Or actually, you know what? We can just directly connect to our recenter on HMD. Recenter on HMD. And to make it very clear that it's our code that's running, we'll say recentering on HMD. Let's give this a try. Hey Shuba, welcome to the stream! I also love Godot. Thanks for coming. Loading. Okay, you guys seeing what I'm seeing? All right, I'm in the wrong spot. I am holding the Oculus button, and it recentered me. So apparently that's actually a per app thing. This is literally the first time I've ever messed around with the whole recentering thing, because I always have locomotion in my VR games. But this is cool to learn how this works. So not only have we implemented an auto recentering for when the game launches, but now we are supporting holding the Oculus button. Cool. All right, down to business. We need to add some controls to our spaceship. So now that we've recentered, we know that we're going to start out right here, pointed in the negative Y direction, I think. I rotated something to make us point to the negative Y direction, but I'm not sure what it was. Well, I still think that's the way we're going to point. I think we're going to point, or not negative Y, sorry, negative Z. We're going to point in the negative Z direction. Let's put a new mesh instance. So hang on, this will be ship floor. So I can keep all my mesh instances straight. And we will add, we'll call this one control ball. Or maybe actually what we want is, hang on, let's get rid of this one. Maybe what we actually want is a node 3D that is the control ball. And then under it, we want a mesh instance that is the ball itself. So that will be a sphere mesh. probably not that big. Let's make it smaller. Radius 0.25, perhaps. And a height 0.5. And let's pull it. Well, we want to pull the whole control ball up and this way. How high is that? That is, let's get it like 1.2 meters off the ground. See if that feels good. Yeah, 0.5 meter-ish in front of the player. Let's put a nicer material on it. I am thinking we will do a sort of orangish color. The way I've been picturing this in my mind, because I always have sort of like a mental image of what the game looks like, is like this sort of semi-transparent orange sphere. Let's maybe go down to, I don't know, 158 as an arbitrary number. And then we need to turn on transparency. Depth draw mode, opaque only. Not sure what that's about, but we have the semi-transparent thing, and I want to place at the center of the ball a tiny version of our spaceship model. So that's the not tiny version. Let's shrink it down. We will scale it to, say, 0.1. Does that seem good size? Ooh, that's still too big. Let's go another order of magnitude smaller. Control ball, F. Why is it not working? F me over there, guys. Oh, because I have to be hovered over the... That looks good. That looks good. We have a little version of our ship in the middle. We're going to rotate the whole ball. And to do the rotation part, we're going to need an area. Let's make an area 3D. Did I accidentally switch to QWERTY? I accidentally switched to QWERTY. Okay, area 3D, which is going to have a collision shape the same, or actually it should be bigger. It should be slightly bigger than the actual sphere. So we need to add a collision shape. And we did the 1.25, let's do 0.3. See how that kind of looks. That looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. So that's going to be kind of the detection area where we put our hands to do the rotation. We should have some hands. We need hands. I guess that comes next. It works 2.5 without coding anything. I guess it's a different use case. Yeah, maybe that changed from 3.5 to 4. That it works differently now. I still do think that the Oculus button at least seemed to do something a little bit different than what I was trying to do here. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe later I'll poke around in Godot 3 and do some comparisons. Okay, so let's give this a try. Let's just see if the ball is the right size and position. This takes a really long time to load. I bet it has something to do with the shaders I'm using to create those planets. All right, that is a reasonable... where the heck's my other controller? I don't actually need it, though. I can't see it. I just want to kind of like reach my hands out. Okay, so I guess because I'm seated, I would want it... Ooh, I would want it closer and lower, but this is perfect for a standing position as far as operating this thing. Because I'm going to be seated through the stream, let's just move it closer and lower. And maybe we would have it be adjustable in a real game. So maybe just say 1 meter. Well, that kind of feels too low. Let's do 1.1 and bring it a little bit closer. Let's say 0.4, something like that. Might be too close though. I don't know. We'll mess with that a little bit more as we go. Hands. We need hands. So I still have XR tools sitting in this project. Let's just grab those hands. Scenes, low poly. I forget, there's so much stuff in here. I forget always what's the right one to grab. So hands, scenes. Are these the models? Which ones give us the logic too? Because I want my fingers to move. Hand pose, and models, hand scenes. All right, we'll try the scenes. We'll say low poly. This is the left hand. And then we'll do this one with do low poly, high poly, low poly right hand. All right. Drop in and see how that looks. You guys seeing this? Okay, you're seeing the same blackness. We're sharing the blackness together. All right, so this is definitely a good position for seated. And I don't have the hand animations. I forget what adds those. I like them. I guess I don't need them. So then the idea is we'll be able to grab and then rotate this ball to change our direction. And that's going to involve some math that we need to figure out. Let's think through this a little bit. So I grab the ball at a particular point, and then when I move this way, what are we actually doing? So for every movement forward or backward, I want to, do I actually need to plot this around the sphere like as, do I need to think about this as a sphere, or can I just think about it as directions? So I grab it, I can have a point on the sphere because I can just take, you know, a vector between the center and the position that I grabbed it, and then, you know, normalize it, multiply by the radius. So I'd have a point on the sphere. And then I move to another point on the sphere. Yeah, so the easiest thing I can think to do is just think of the things as the individual axes, but I think it makes more sense to try and actually plot it on the sphere, but then how do I turn that into a rotation? So if I think of the vector between the center and the point that I grab as its own axis, well, okay, so I can end up with two vectors here. So there's the vector that I start at, or the point, I guess, however I want to think of it, a point or a vector. It's the same thing. And then the vector that I put it at, and what I want to do is just move from the one axis to the other axis. All right, let's start simple and then work our way up here. I feel like there's a clever matrices way of thinking of this that is not presently popping into my head, but we are going to add another mesh on here to represent the point that we have grabbed it at. The initial point. So we'll say this will be like grab point mesh. And we're going to make this be like a little tiny sphere. Point 1, is that small enough? Probably not. No, that's way too big. Let's go half that size. Still too big. Let's go half that size. That's good. That's decent. Okay, so we want to hide it. And we need to initiate our grab somehow. There's a couple of options. We could bake this into our script here. Well, okay, we got a bunch of basics to do before we get down to the math and all this. So the hands need to have some areas to test if we are overlapping with the sphere. So yeah, we need to add an area. Should we generalize this into a scene though? Probably. Well, let's just start one thing at a time. I'm going to put on my right hand because that seems to be the hand I'm using. We'll put in area 3D, and this will be, we'll call it grab area. And we're going to add a collision shape to it. And a sphere collision shape, which is going to be a very small sphere. We'll make it the same size as our grab point one here. So this is the radius. And let's find our hands. We don't want it at the tip. And this is actually too small for grabbing. Let's hide the left hand. Let's hide the floor mesh. Yeah, that's way too small. So, okay, we'll actually need to make this bigger. Let's go a whole bunch bigger. Yeah. And we are going to try to put it kind of in the below my fingers a little bit. So something like that, like kind of like you're holding a ball and it's the ball that you're holding onto. And then let's move this down to here, maybe a little bit, because people kind of do touch with the tips of their fingers. I don't think we need anything over here. That looks good. Okay, so we press the button. We check if this area intersects with this area. And if so, we start a grab. Then the control ball could have like a grab, like a start grab, stop grab method on it. So let's start there. So we're going to create a script for a grab area script. Actually, yeah, let's make this into its own scene. So we will say save branch as scene, grab area. We are going to attach a script. And so first of all, we're going to say the parent is the controller. So if parent and parent is XR controller 3D, then we do parent, it's button pressed, connect, self on button pressed. Do the same thing for released. And we're going to need to store our grabbed object. I don't think we need to do anything on process necessarily. Let's add these methods on button pressed. And then it's button, which I think is either a string name or a string. I don't like having to put type hints on things that might be string names, so I'm just gonna let it be for now. Although it would be better to type hint it. And we'll say if button equals this would be grip something or other. Let's go check the OpenXR action map. Touch controller. Grip click, I guess. And then this must be the floating point value, the axis value. So you can say like how gripped am I? Am I 50% gripped, 100% gripped? So grip click. And then what we want to do is we want to say, we'll say for area in get overlapping areas, we'll say if area has method start grab, then we will call that. So then area start grab, and we'll pass ourselves. I don't know if we actually need ourselves, but that's what we're going to do. And we're going to say grabbed object equals area, and then we are going to break from this loop. And then when we release the button, say if button equals grip click, and grabbed object does not equal null, then we say if grabbed object has method. That actually makes me want to change this around a little bit. Grabbed object, and then we'll say grabbed object. I just like the symmetry there. Doesn't really matter. An aesthetic thing. Do you guys have like weird aesthetic things you like to do in your code? Then we'll call grabbed object stop grab. And then we clear the grabbed object. Bam. So this should allow us to press the button, trigger a method, release, trigger another method. We're going to need to still implement those methods. Oh, and we need to mess around with physics layers for a moment. So the grab area itself probably doesn't need to be in a layer, but it needs to collide with a bunch of other layers. Let's go name some layers. So I always like to make layer 1 be the environment, because that is the default layer. That's what everything will be set at when you just create the node, and almost everything I place is environment. And then we'll say player, and then we will say interactable. So this needs to collide with interactable items. The control ball, now I want the control ball to be an area. Kind of messed that up, but we can fix it. So let's say control ball, we are going to save branch as scene. Let's go edit up that scene. We want to clear its transform, which sometimes does this weird thing where it like clears the transform in the original scene. I hope it doesn't do that. Ah, it did it. It did it. Why does it do that sometimes? Okay, how about I'll close that. It's closed. It can't hurt me. It can't hurt me anymore because it's closed. Okay, so then here we're gonna send that back there, and then let's open the spaceship again. No! It's so dumb. They shouldn't be the same resource. They just shouldn't be. Okay, so let's just copy this position. So this position is 1.1, -0.5. So here we'll clear it. And then over here, we will set the position to 1.1, negative 0.5. Okay. So now we need to make the control ball itself be the area 3D. And I think we can do that by saying make scene root. And then this stuff needs to go here. And then this node can go away. All right, and then this is going to get renamed control ball. And now we can set the collision layers. So this will exist on our interactable collision layer that we just made. The mask we don't need to set. It should be fine. It itself doesn't collide with anything. Things only collide with it. Hey, Tony Manblast, welcome to the stream. Oh, you got a pretty cool character, a braid and some plate mail. All right, so now we can start writing the code for the control ball to receive those start grab and stop grab methods. We don't need any of this. So function start grab, we'll say grab area. And something I want to do is show this grab point mesh, which is really just a debug tool for us, at the point on the sphere that we originally grabbed at. Because when we get to where we're actually doing the rotation, if we get the rotation right, it should follow our hand. And that's how we will know we are succeeding or not. So let's do on ready. Grab point mesh. Why aren't we getting this stuff auto-completed? Am I just typing it all very, very wrong? Grab point mesh. Oh, because I caused a syntax error by not typing var there. Okay, so when we start the grab, we are going to take our grab point mesh, we're going to make it visible, and we're going to set its position, its global transform origin to equal the grab area, its global transform origin. And then when we stop grabbing, we are going to hide it. And that's actually wrong. Okay, so this is sort of right, but not. What we actually want to do, because we want to place it on the sphere. So let's make a constant. We'll say radius. Actually, I could grab it. I could grab the radius. It doesn't need to be a constant. Let's say onReady var radius float. It's going to be the mesh is mesh instance 3D. Let's maybe not call it mesh instance 3D. Let's say like ball mesh. This is on the ball mesh shape, or not shape, mesh radius. Okay, so then what we want to do is we want to first get a vector from the center of the ball pointing at the position that we grabbed it. So this will be, we'll call it grab vector, is going to equal, so we want to point towards the grab area global transform origin. And so then we take that and we subtract from it our global transform origin. All right, so we have that vector pointing from the center of the sphere to the point that we grabbed it. and then we want to normalize that and multiply by the radius, which should give us the point on the edge of the sphere that we grabbed it, and that is where we're going to position the ball. So we'll say grab vector. Actually, here we can just do this and then normalize it, and then we will make the grab point mesh have its, and we don't need to be in global space anymore. We could say transform origin equals grab vector times radius. That should work. This should position the grab point on the sphere at the point we grabbed it. Okay. Let's give this a try. Hey, Ruben, welcome to the stream. I want to ask, how did you add that thing in VS Code that helps you underlining with red the wrong line and helping complete the line of code? So that is mostly the VS Code add-on for Godot. Which I think is Godot Tools. Yeah, this one by Guy Quillim. So it's mostly that. That connects to the Godot editor and can autocomplete stuff and do GDScript syntax understanding. I do have a lot of different add-ons going on, though. I think I have one that changes the appearance of the errors to make them bigger and more drastic so that I can't ignore them. I forget which extension that is. This one is the important one, the Godot Tools one. There's also the C# extension, which does similar things, but for when you're working with C#, which I also highly recommend. All right, did this deploy? Did it do its thing? Did it happen? It did. All right. So where's my? Oh, I hid the platform so that I could have some space to work. All right, I hid too many things. Let's go back to unhide all this stuff and try again. Deploy fail. I feel like today it's happening way more than a third of the time. It feels like 50% of the time this bug is happening. Loading. Here we go. All right, our floor is back. Let's see if I can grab this. Hey! Okay, so I grab it at a particular position and it places the ball on the sphere. So then we want the ball to rotate such that this stays in the same spot, like the ball's going to just rotate around. And the question is, how do we do that? How do we do that math? So a clever idea is not yet presenting itself. I know there's a way to reverse engineer a transform based on a vector that we want its axis to point. Okay, never mind. An idea is coming to me. I was about to say we should Google it, but screw that. We can figure this out. So, okay, if we imagine that we have a transform where this vector points in the negative z-axis, and then we have, we move over, and now there isn't a ball drawn there, but imagine we now have this other vector where we're pointing at this spot. We actually don't even need to think of this in terms of rotation, actually. We just need to construct, or will that work in all situations, though? Because if I come this way, no, it will. Okay, so we're going to construct a transform where the negative z is pointing at my hand. And then, because the negative z of this is pointing forward, we're going to actually need to do a bunch of inverse stuff. Okay, so first, let's construct a transform where negative z is pointing at the ball, and then we multiply the transform of the sphere by the inverse of that transform, which would sort of normalize us on this. Then we change that transform to match the current position of my hand, and then we multiply it by that same transform that we did in the beginning again. Does that make sense? Does that sound sound? I'm not that good at math. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, two vectors, dot product is an angle and cross product is an axis, or does it need to be more complicated? Dot product, angle, cross product. I'm going to try the idea that I just talked through, even though it's probably not going to work. And then when that fails, I will come back to your idea of the clean. And, oh, Ruben, you're doing Unity? I have no idea in Unity. I'm sure there's an add-on in Unity to do autocomplete and good stuff like that in for Unity. Unity is like the biggest game engine on the earth. There's more stuff for Unity than any other engine. So if Godot's got one, Unity has to have one. Okay. So first, so what was the first step? The first step was rotating the sphere, the ball, by the inverse of the matrix defined by this grab vector. Okay, so okay, let's make a basis. So this will be, we'll say grab basis. Or no, wait, we need to start doing things not here, but and let's save this grab vector. And this radius doesn't need to be a public thing. Okay, hang on. My brain's going all off the walls here. I'm trying to do too many things at once. So let's say grab vector. Here we will assign it. And then we need to hop over to process. And in process, we need to see if we're being grabbed. Is grabbed. We need to say that we're being grabbed. And over here, we need to stop being grabbed. And here we need to say if is grabbed. Now we need to make a basis. So does it matter about the original position? Okay, well, we're still going to just work on my idea, even if it turns out to be bad. So we need a new basis. Oh, and isn't there a static method for looking at? So this will do the first part of this, looking at grab vector. And then what we actually want, well, okay, so we'll call this grab basis. Grab basis. And then we want to take the current, so the whole thing, because we're thinking about the whole thing here. I just realized I think I do need to make this be global transform because we're going to be rotating things and everything's going to get weird once we start rotating things. Or no, it's not global transform. It'd be like global transform plus. Something like that. That might be totally wrong. I don't know. I'll restore the old code in case this is gibberish. Okay. So then we need to take the basis of our current basis. So this would be like transform basis. And we need to multiply it by the inverse of the grab basis. Okay, so now what we've done is create a basis. Okay, so if we have the grab position, the inverse, and we're going to it's pointing here. Inverse, that would mean that we're now pointing this way to the forward. And then we need to multiply by a new basis. Oh man, this is so wacky. This is not going to work. I've gone off my rails. It's going to be a new vector. We'll say new vector. New vector equals this same thing again here. Oh, yeah, we do need to say, we do need to hang on to the original grab area. So we'll say grabbed by. We need to store that here. So is grabbed and grabbed by equals grab area. And so then everywhere where I'm saying grab area here, I'm going to replace that with grabbed by, the same aesthetic thing that I was talking about previously. And then down here, we need to also clear out grabbed by, set that to null. So the new vector, grabbed by, looking at new vector. Okay, so this is my whole idea. It's probably wrong. So transform basis equals that. Let's see what sort of zany explosion of rotations happens when I try this. And then when that fails, I'll try the cleans idea. Loading. So very much. Okay, here we go. Whoa. So it actually, I mean, it's wrong. You know, it's wrong. But something about it, okay, so it shouldn't freak out like that. Whoa, whoa. Everything's gone wild. The thing that's interesting too is if I try to just stay in one spot now, it like won't let me. That makes me think I'm doing something more than wrong math, that maybe I'm like failing to clear something somewhere. Is grabbed, grab true, grab vector. Okay. This is just rotation of the spaceship, or rotation or translation? Well, just rotation. It works if you have four-dimensional perception. Yeah, it's just rotation. I just want to point oh man, how to think about this. It's wrong in the good way. I always love being wrong in the good way. Man, I need like three-dimensional like puzzle pieces I can put together. I don't need the controllers to visualize. Okay, so right now I could easily tell I could easily tell the control sphere to point its z-axis at my current vector. Like that would be really easy, right? So let's actually do that. Let's go through this step by step. So if I said transform basis, looking at, we'll say new vector. right? And this should make the front of the sphere point at my hand. But that's not what we want, right? But let's work through this piece by piece. And what I was attempting to do there was to like align. I was attempting to sort of like unrotate by the position that we grabbed it at so that we could point the... Ooh, everything's wigged out. That's not right. That's not right at all. Let's deploy again. Yeah, I was kind of like trying to unrotate. Let's get in here. Let's get in and let's do this. Too much thinking, not enough doing. Although probably I could do to do more thinking, but I feel like this will best illustrate my idea if we just get in here and look at this. What is going on? Do I need to reboot my quest? This is like all out of control. Oh my god, what? Okay. Quit. Quit is good. Maybe let me stop casting for a little while. Or I'll stop casting and start casting. If I could find the button for it. Where is the button for this? Oh, is that it? No. All right, I will stop casting the next time I see the button for it. This happened on the last stream too, where I ended up like inside of my hands. But I don't know what's causing it. Yeah, it's still wigging out. Still wigging out. All right, so in here I know where the stop casting button is, so I will hit it. Stop casting. Stop casting. Quit. All right. Try again. This sucks not actually working on the problem that we're trying to solve and just trying to get the damn thing to run here. It's still wigging out. What on earth is happening? All right. I guess I'm going to reboot my quest. See if that helps. Then we can spend a little more time thinking too. So if I can easily point the front of the sphere in this particular direction, what I really need to do is, again, I was thinking we were going to untransform from our grab position and rotate it over. So the grab basis would rotate the negative z over to here. So we want to unrotate, rotate to the new one. I still feel like my math should be good. So we get the vector pointing here. So something that always gets me in matrix math is that I do it backwards. That's like worth a try, is just flip these around. Transform basis times grab basis inverse. Although I still do want to do the little test that we were going to do, so let me leave that alone. All right, are you back in business? Back in business. Headsets rebooted. Let's get deploying as soon as it lets me. Oh, gotta do my Guardian. Always gotta do my Guardian. Confirm. See if we're freaking out. We are not freaking out. All right, note to self. Reboot Quest when that starts happening. All right, so, why is my hand not tracking though? This hand is, why not this one? Interesting. So this is still working, the placement, but my hand's invisible. Why is my hand invisible? Let's go look at our logcat and see what we got. Oh, logcat stopped. Go look in our debugger, our output. I see no reason why my hand should be invisible. All right, and it's not doing the thing that it should be doing. Let's go look at the code here. So new vector, grab by global transform normalized, looking at is grabbed. Oh, I did this wrong. This should be basis equals basis looking at. Or actually there is a method, but I think it's actually on transform itself. But whatever, this is fine. Okay, let's redeploy and let's hope that the syntax error or whatever there was what was preventing my hand from actually appearing. My hand is still not here. Where's my hand? Okay, so you can't see my hand, but it's like, it's like strangely opposite. This isn't really exactly what I was expecting. I was expecting the front of the ship to point it wherever I put my hand. Or I guess it is. Wait! What? For a second it was sort of working. Oh, because I was starting at the front. Okay, so if I start at the front, it's working! Yay, yay, but that's wrong. So with this method, it's pointing the front of the ship at wherever my hand is, like it should. And my idea was to unproject and then reproject. Unproject by the place where we grabbed it, and then reproject to the new place that we are. And let's try the one with the multiplications flipped around. See if that helps. I still don't know why my hand isn't there though. Like it's here. Whatever. Whatever. Oh, my hand's back. Cool. Okay, so I grab here, and I'm not moving at all, and it's just sort of spinning around. That doesn't make any sense. So I'm definitely, whoa. Definitely doing something wrong. Okay, so I can point this basis at wherever my hand is. But what I actually want to do... Okay, what if we think of this in terms of like parent and child nodes as just a way to visualize it? So if I have a parent node that is rotated such that its negative z-axis points at my start position, and then I can move that parent node, everything would work perfectly, right? Because this negative z is always pointing towards my hand, and then we have somehow magically made the child node rotated such that the negative z is where we started. How would we calculate that rotation on the child node to make that happen? It would be the parent, its rotation would have to be the inverse, right, of the child's rotation, I think. To clarify, you want to rotate the spaceship with the ball, or you want the spaceship to look at the grab point? I do not want the spaceship to look at the grabbed point. I want to rotate the spaceship with the ball. I was just doing that last thing to help visualize what we can make easily happen. Oh, what if this was fundamentally correct, except that I should be doing this multiplication the other way around? I'm just going to try this. I could think through it, or I could just try it and see if that's right, and then I'll do more thinking. Put my thinking off till later. Deploy fail. Try again. I don't know how it's getting so much rotation from me not moving. And the more I move, like, it seems to accumulate more rotation. Okay, back to the drawing board here. So we pick a point which could be described as a matrix with the z, negative z pointing at a spot. Then we pick a new point Okay, what if we start with the new point? It's a new matrix. And then we are multiplying it by the inverse of the original matrix. What would that give us? Okay, one more try from me, and then we're Googling it. So we have the new vector Okay, so rather than unprojecting and reprojecting, we're basically taking the new position and then like removing the old position's rotation from it, if that makes sense. It probably doesn't make sense, but let's try it. Hey, Speemort, welcome to the stream. Yes, you are a bit late. I'm actually close to the end of the stream here, but I feel like we're not that far from figuring this out, although I always feel that way. Okay. No, this is very nearly right. It's right, except the y-axis appears to be inverted. But otherwise, it's right. Ooh, except no, when I let go, it seems to reset itself, which is strange. Okay, it's being affected by its own rotation somehow. And then the y is reversed. So the being affected by its own rotation thing, that's probably me using local space when I need to be using global space or something like that. Or the other way around. Because the grab vector needs to be affected by... Okay, hang on. This actually is better. Grab vector needs to be affected by our rotation. So I need to multiply it by transform basis, or do I need to multiply by an inverse of the transform basis? It almost was working. My idea, while probably is not the best way to solve this problem, does appear to have a tiny bit of merit. The up and down is still so weird. But okay, let's rotate it this way. And then it just flips. Wait, it's now... What is happening now? Everything's gone crazy again. Man. Okay. We're Googling it. So 3D rotate sphere from one point to another point. The demonstration lets you locate 2 points on a sphere. The points form a vector that can be rotated about the axis. That seems not right. Determine the rotation necessary to transform from one point on a sphere to another. Given unitary vectors u and v, thus 2 points in the unitary sphere, there are of course infinite paths leading from u to v. A neat and simple as much as the shortest path. Let's use quaternions. Yeah, so to find the shortest path, I don't care about the shortest path. I just need to snap to the new position. Like, I don't care how we rotate there, honestly. Move point 1 to point 2 using a rotation about the z-axis, but yeah, we aren't really trying to rotate, is the thing. We aren't really trying to rotate. We're trying to point the sphere in a particular vector, but relative to another vector. Like, if I were to take, okay, let's do this. Let's think about this progressively. So we need to rotate God, I wonder if this should be the inverse. Okay, let's start at the top. When we grab a point, oh, the new vector also needs the same multiplication. Hang on. Okay, let's start at the top though. So we grab at a point on the sphere. And then we want to take that point and rotate it so that it points forward on the sphere. We want to rotate the transform defined by the negative z-axis pointing that vector over to here. And then we want to rotate it back by our new vector, which I think that's what this is doing. But we can do this progressively, right? So we take the, oh, what did I do? I hit something. We take the transform basis and we multiply it by the grab basis inverse, and then we take the basis and multiply it, or we actually want the basis looking at this new vector times what it was before, right? I hate the order of matrix multiplication junk. If you want the right to take the ball, you don't need a vector, right? Well, I mean, I'm thinking of, I'm getting this vector because I'm using that vector to form a matrix with the negative z-axis pointing in the direction of that vector. But like, right, we aren't really doing anything with the vector itself. I'm just using that as a way to define a matrix. This to be relative to the basis. Yeah, we're snapping it to the right position. We're not really rotating it. We're just trying to snap it to the right position based on a start and end position that we did the grabbing. It's probably entirely unclear the approach that I'm trying to take to you guys. No! No! Why? Why? I feel like I'm so close to maybe sort of working this out. Why do you have to have a freak out Oculus Quest? Just let me try this last idea. Is it having a freak out? It is not having a freak out. Okay. My hands are invisible again. Nope, that idea didn't work. Jeez. Okay. I think I'm going to have to declare failure at this point. I will, of course, keep working on this off stream. Man. Yeah, I'm gonna need to set up more debug stuff. I'm gonna need to print out some more info, place some more debug objects to really like get a handle on what is happening. Like, I could place another debug object based on the hand position without actually having to grab. That would really help me figure out this part where I'm trying to figure out this new vector relative to the current vector. Actually, okay, let's try one more thing, because I'm really unsure about this math here that I just wrote. I feel like this was closer to working. One more try, and then I'm calling it. For next week, I'm not entirely sure if I'll be streaming next week. Next week Friday is the day before I leave to fly out to GDC. So I may be super busy on that Friday, finishing up work and getting ready for my trip. Or I'll be done with everything and super chill and want to stream. Come on, just let me see. Oh, let me see for a second. Just let me see. Just want to see for a second. Show me my hands. I hate you. I hate you, Quest. And then, of course, while I'm at GDC, I will not be streaming. So it may turn into 2 weeks off before I'm hanging out with you guys again. But certainly, stop by Discord. I'll give updates on my bad math there as well. Okay, we're not freaking out. We're not freaking out. We're okay. We're okay. We're freaking out. It seems to be related to the hands, which of course is terrible because... Okay, here's a plan. Here's a plan. This is a very temporary plan. Let's hide the hands. Let's hide the hands. Try this one last thing. Wait, why did I still see a hand? Because I hid the grab area, not the hand. Okay. Hey, Aaron Winter. I'm doing all right. I am about to sign off. Sorry about that. Ooh, and someone else showed up. I am guest. Welcome. Do you know Lua? I know Lua a little bit. I have made like little Nakama modules because that's the way you customize Nakamas via Lua or Go or JavaScript, and for whatever reason I always choose Lua. I've done what is that text conversion tool that also is programmed via Lua? I've done little scripts for that. Ah, no, it's freaking out. All right, guys. I have to declare failure for the day, or at least for now, for the stream. I might figure it out after I get off, but Yeah. In any case, it was awesome hanging out with you guys. Thanks for coming to the stream. I hope everyone has a great weekend, that you don't get too much snow if you're in a snowy part of the world, as am I. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.